GM, everyone. This is Dr. Josh, Crypto Mondays Global. We're here again at COP28. Hopefully you've had an idea of what COP28 is by our other interviews that we've had with VIPs here, some amazing people, and there's more on the way. So make sure to like and subscribe for all of our Crypto Mondays videos to Crypto Mondays Global YouTube channel or our social network, and get in touch with your local Crypto Mondays. If you don't have one, then make sure to start one and get in touch with us on the site cryptomondays.io. Today at COP28 is, by the way, the world's biggest and most important environmental protection meetup. Okay, it's like a Crypto Mondays meetup, but it's like everybody in the world's here that's important. So, like all the world leaders, all the corporations, all the people that are decision makers, but also a lot of NGOs and people that are really trying to fight climate change, because it's a huge disaster. And I have to repeat that with every episode because some people don't know what COP28 is. And speaking of corporations and global leaders, I have here with me Hania Othman, who is the head of both for several regions around the world. I'll let you explain, for several regions around the world for Hedera Foundation. And if you don't know Hedera is a layer 1 blockchain, and they have a special system. They have the HBAR token. You might have some HBAR token. If you don't, go get some. But and it's a good token. Why? Because they have a council kind of system. So they have a governing council. So how they do governance is different than other blockchains. And there's a lot of other things we could talk about Hedera, but the governing council includes universities like UCL. Shout out to my friends at UCL. I used to be a professor there. But also not just universities. There's corporations, large corporations like Google and IBM, and different people. So check out Hedera if you don't know Hedera. But what Hania does is she focuses on sustainability and about actually saving the planet Earth and doing important things with blockchain. So welcome to Crypto Mondays.
Thank you so much for having me, Josh. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's great to have you here as well today at our Hedera Regenerative Finance Forum. And it's been a great day. It's been a long day as well.
Yeah.
So it's the end of the day. Shall I introduce myself quickly?
Yeah, please. Yeah. Tell us about who you are and what you're doing.
So my name is Hania Othman. So I'm the Director of Sustainable Impact at the HBAR Foundation Sustainable Impact Fund, which is one of the 4 funds. So the HBAR Foundation is the growth arm of the Hedera economy, and we focus on 4 distinct areas. We have crypto economy, obviously, fintech, consumer engagement, metaverse, and sustainability. And sustainability is a special fund in my opinion. The reason why is because it's the first fund that actually solely has focused on sustainability. We were endowed with $100 million, and we said, okay, how can we extend these $100 million in order to make sure that we have the most impact with that? So we focus on enabling an ecosystem, right? Really looking at it from an ecosystem point of view and saying we want to enable the technical infrastructure for sustainability assets. And by doing that, we said, okay, we want to, what does this infrastructure look like? What does the value chain actually look like? We focus on sustainable debt vehicles because we need to make sure that we can finance these types of projects. Having high quality market supply is extremely important. Looking at the searchability, so the data tooling, the trading, secondary markets, and then finally the reporting. So really going across that entire ecosystem and mobilizing the Hedera ecosystem through the HBAR Foundation, and investing, providing grants for the organizations that are going to create these digital public goods.
Wow, amazing. Okay, so this is really a lot of parts, a lot of moving parts there, and not only the 4 different funds, but just with the sustainability fund, the amount of detail that you were able to very concisely describe there. Now, in relation to this, where does the $100 million come from? Tell us more. I mean, who's putting this money in to do this social, environmental impact?
Yeah. So the HBAR Foundation was created in order to grow the Hedera economy. And obviously the 100 million comes from Hedera. It comes from Hedera, the governing council. The governing council manages the treasury, manages the nodes. They have a specific voting system, which is the gossip for gossip protocol as well.
Okay, that's a lot of money. Sorry to interrupt, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Why is this? Why would they just put $100 million into something like this?
It's not just $100 million into this. It's because Hedera is.
Oh, that's just the starting. That's just the starting point.
Hedera is obviously governed by these corporates.
Okay.
And these corporates, they benefit and they have sustainability is on the agenda.
Sustainability is big on the agenda.
Definitely.
For all the big corporations that are multi-billion-dollar corporations.
Yeah.
What do you got to have to be on the council? Like something like $60 billion in volume. There's some huge amount of capital that people have to have for good reason, but they also have law firms like DLA Piper and different types of organizations on this. So this is just a starting point. They're willing to put in $100 million into this fund because ESGs, right? Because those corporations themselves have to deal with ESGs. So they're not just like, oh, we care about the environment, we want to help the environment. It's also like they're thinking about their own future and their own survival as a corporation, right?
Well, I think eventually sustainability is corporate risk. 100% of our economy depends on 100% of nature. Meaning to say that if you do not integrate nature as a stakeholder, you are at risk as an organization. So from an ESG perspective, obviously we have compliance, and one of those compliance is the CSRD, Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, which is obviously legislation that's come out in Europe. But corporations, they need to integrate these types of integrations and think about that. And obviously this has been happening for several years. There's nothing new about that. What we're trying to do is, through technology, improve the integrity of these markets, increase the liquidity into those markets, and have trusted assets that we can enable for them to report upon, and also have an actual impact and a benefit. We can trace that back to the attribute level, understand who's benefiting from it, and also understand what the actual impact is on the ground. And that's exactly what we're trying to do with technology, and that's also why an infrastructure is so important. Because if you have loose solutions separately that are not integrated together and that are claiming to have certain kind of benefits, but we can't really test it out in the markets. There's no ecosystem effect, there's no ecosystem within that, it's just an hypothesis.
Right.
And what we're trying to do is moving from hypothesis to reality. We're really looking at, okay, how can transparency really enable us and get that price premium? A price premium is not just for the price, but it's to have high quality for these types of credits, because we do what we say that we're going to do. And we have the data to back that up as well. And we have the systems in order for us to view that type of data. And that's exactly where the value is at and the work that we're doing. So often people go high over and we're saving the planet. Saving the planet, what does it mean? It means that integrating certain kind of considerations within our frame of working, our frame of thinking, and specifically in our capital system, right? And this is through this we create an amount of rigor within that. And data tooling, we have, for example, The Guardian. The Guardian is we focus on digital public goods. The reason is we focus on enabling open source digital public goods for everybody to use and build upon. Because we have seen that there are several different tools, actually, like an MRV platform, that are extremely necessary in order to get any kind of asset. So what happens is that you have 10,000 startups that are doing exactly the same thing, building these MRV platforms. And instead of having separate MRV platforms that potentially don't have the amount of funding that is necessary in order to get to that growth stage, that should be a digital public good where everybody can contribute towards, and where we become the largest digital public library of methodologies. And we start comparing methodologies and asserting types of qualities and so on, but everybody can build on top of that. And that's exactly what we're inviting people to do, saying like, hey, we have invested into this. It's not exclusive. Come build with us.
With like SDKs or...
Exactly, like The Guardian, yeah.
It's called The Guardian.
Yes, it's The Guardian.
And so if a person's interested in The Guardian, building on The Guardian, First of all, I like that name. It's kind of a cool
The guardrails.
guardrails, right?
Yes.
So if they're interested, and they just type in Hedera Guardian, and they'll come to the website.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. And how did you get into this, right? I mean, how did you get into blockchain crypto world? It fell into your lap, kind of like, or have you been crypto and then you found Hedera to be the most amazing thing? Just interested in your personal story.
Yeah, so my background is a mixture actually of finance, technology, and sustainability. So from a sustainability perspective, I come from a tourism/ecotourism background. Have worked in the finance industry where I was developing programs, innovation programs, conference programs, training programs for C-level executives regarding financial regulation, and was working very closely together with chief risk officers in terms of understanding what their concerns was and how we can create programs in order to facilitate that lack of, let's say, or that the gap of information or knowledge that they had. And then we came into technology very fast because technology is an enabler at that moment. So I got into blockchain through a startup which was working with Hyperledger Fabric, so not tokenization at all.
Right.
So I didn't come
IBM.
at it. I didn't come at it from a crypto perspective, but mostly from a solutionist perspective. So really utilizing blockchain, Hyperledger Fabric, in order to solve for the carbon markets at that time. Nature-based solutions as well. We looked at ESG reporting, carbon forwards, but tokenization was not the first thing on my mind.
No.
The first thing on my mind was how to solve for these types of problems and look at it from an integrity point of view and look at it from a problem point of view and then match that. So when I was looking, I met with Wes Geisenberger, who is the VP of the Sustainable Impact Fund.
Who I met today, and
yes.
He did a great job. By the way, both of you and the whole team, great job. Congratulations on this wonderful event related to COP.
Thank you.
And so you met him.
So we met, and then we started chatting, and we found that we have actually a lot of commonalities, but I didn't look at it from a crypto point of view. So I found that Hedera, if you look at Hedera, and if you look at the way that it's governed and organized, actually, it's perfect for sustainability in terms of the values, because it's aligned. They really put the financing towards it in order to enable integrity in these markets, but also in terms of a governing council, because eventually sustainability is an enterprise issue. And if you need the enterprises to be standing behind you in order to develop these solutions. Coming just from a Web3 perspective in order to onboard, get to the capital markets is a hard thing to do in order to gain trust. So when we approach it from an enterprise perspective, and we've recently also announced a partnership with the UNFCCC in order to digitize 15 methodologies, that credibility is extremely important in order to deliver the value that we want to deliver. So it's environmental due diligence first. And then the technical part.
Environmental,
technical, and then the business part.
And then the business part. So the three pads. But just to clarify that the partnership is with the United Nations.
Yes.
That's so the UNFCCC is.
Yes.
Okay, so you have these three aspects, and these three aspects. Why Hedera specifically? Okay, now I understand that it has a certain corporate governance structure, and they have to take into account all these different aspects like due diligence and risk and things like that. What would prevent? What do you think? Why do you think that they're in the best position of any of the other blockchains to be, the leader in the direction towards sustainability and climate change, which I think all blockchains should be, because they should be striving for that number one position. Because obviously otherwise we're all going to die, and we are not helping but creating more problems rather than solving the problems. But why do you think that Hedera is the best positioned to be that leader?
Yeah, so I can't really speak to Hedera in general being in terms of a competition point of view, but what I can speak to is the value that we are creating, just because we have focused on building an infrastructure and focused on building digital public goods. So it's not just one win that we're looking after. We're looking after a functioning ecosystem from start to finish. So we started with that positioning, and we're delivering on that type of positioning at the moment. So in terms of positioning point of view, we look at the integrity that we have gained by doing this is extreme. And that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about the fact that when I bring people into the organization, we're talking about the solutions. The question comes always, okay, what do you want to get out of the ecosystem and what can you give to the ecosystem? So it becomes a very altruistic circumstances, and that's exactly what you want. You want people to be part of that, and you want people to benefit from that, and that's what we have created and what we are creating ongoing, right? And the value is really in the technology layer, digital public goods layer, but also in the ecosystem that is building on top of that.
So digital public goods, yeah. I know that you've got other things to do, and we'll wrap it up really quickly, but thank you very much for coming here and being on Crypto Mondays. Wow, I gotta say, very impressive. Both you and what Hedera Foundation is doing, the complexity. I mean, your knowledge of this whole area is really expert, and so that's great for our communities just to have an understanding of what's possible. But let's break it down for the last thing. I just want you to break it down into a real world case example of maybe somebody who's building on Hedera that was maybe represented here today, or a good case example that you could tell us about, use case.
Yeah, of course. So one of our latest announcements, actually, which I'm very excited about, is we've announced a partnership with Alcott.io. Alcott.io being the digital arm of Alcott, which is a project developer, and they have announced the case that opening the books on climate finance, right? Which means they're going to be fully transparent on the way and the distribution and the benefit sharing models from their projects on the ground. So what we have done is that we brought on 500 million metric tons of carbon onto the network, onto the Guardian, and having full transparency on how that's benefiting the local communities, the amount of impact value that's being created in terms of ecological value and so on. And that's actually the first project developer to ever commit towards being this transparent.
Not just in Hedera ecosystem, but in general.
Yes.
Wow.
So this level of transparency, and we're very excited about it. So we announced this partnership in Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire, where we had a event, and we're looking forward to the next steps within this. Okay.
Oh, amazing. All right. Well, and you had said that you and we're in Lisbon, and so we'd love to have you maybe on Crypto Mondays Lisbon. We have a great community there. We just had a big event. DJ Villegi was there, and it was actually sponsored by a different blockchain. But I know also Mike Cave is an amazing guy who lives out there, and this is great. And so you see, there's a big future and a big potential for blockchain and systems like Hedera that are comprehensive to really make an impact, not only in the way we think about environmental protection and solving the problem of climate change, but also ways forward in the markets of providing liquidity, and accountability. Accountability is the big part. I think often when we think about it from a tech first perspective, we don't think about that, but I think we're not the ones who make the rules in environmental markets, but technology can have an accountability function, and that allows us to deliver on the rules that are made in the markets, and that's the big shift that we're looking after. Great. Okay. Well, it's amazing. Well, thank you very much for your time, and I'd just like everybody to know that she's one of Hania's hero in the space, and one of my heroes. Anybody that's trying to solve these major problems, we know everybody has to be involved, and so you definitely are leading the way on that. So thanks a lot for your time. Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you.